Labor trafficking is the profiting from someone's labor through means which take away that person's freedom of choice. That's legal terminology which include the definition of those means as force, fraud, and coercion. Throughout history, it's been named multiple things. It's been called chattel slavery, indentured servitude, debt bondage. This can happen anywhere. It can happen in any way. It does not require any kind of movement or crossing international borders or interstate borders. It can happen to someone in their city, in their neighborhood, never even leaving their house. The difference between labor trafficking and labor exploitation is, for example, paying someone low wages with maybe no record of the payment, a lot of hours, unhealthy working conditions, reluctant access to medical assistance if someone's injured, few to no breaks, little to no benefits, deplorable living conditions, if the living conditions is applicable to the work, unsafe transportation, if applicable once again, and casual word of mouth type of recruitment. When it turns into trafficking is when those wages, if any, they really result in perpetual payment of a debt. It's like fees to work. The number of hours are controlled to create more debt and to maximize profit. The working conditions are extremely deplorable, and there is no mobility. It's not like you can go from one employer to another employer if you want to. The access to medical treatment in case of an injury is little to none, basically because the trafficker does not want to expose his trafficked victim to anyone that they could potentially talk to. There's no breaks for the most part in that work. The most prevalent industries where labor trafficking happens, the at-risk industries, domestic service, agriculture is a big one, restaurants, hospitality, construction, and even state fairs or carnivals. And obviously any industry that is heavily dependent on cheap labor. Now, if you want to talk our philosophy at LTI, then you also have the sex industry. So what can people do about it? You just found out about this crime and you want to get involved. You can be involved in so many ways. You can find what skills you can bring, whether it is translation, whether it is investigative skills if you're in law enforcement, or if you're in the community and you're a community leader and you have knowledge or information as to what's happening in your community. That's very valuable. You can volunteer. One way that you can do it also is by assisting financially, giving financial assistance to an organization that is heavily involved with the fight against it. What is LTI doing about it? Our premise at LTI is basically, we are going to change who's invited at the table, who's invited to the fight. If it's labor trafficking we're speaking about, I don't understand why labor has not been invited to the table, like the labor unions, the labor movement. So that's something that we're trying to do. And with the knowledge that the labor movement is going to provide us, with the knowledge that economists are going to provide us, knowledge that we can then relay to you, to anyone from community members, regular citizens, and basically arming anyone, parents, with the information, the tools that they need in order to seek justice. Everybody has their own version of justice. Justice is not and should not be monopolized by just a few people on what it looks like. Justice should be something that should be guided from the affected communities. And LTI is there basically to arm the justice seekers with information, with knowledge, with the tools they need to reach their version of justice.